Students, second chapter in third module is design and implementation. Okay, we know that this is the stage of the process. Okay, software design and implementation is the stage in the software engineering process at which an executable software system is developed. Okay, means we know that the design and implementation is the stage in the software engineering process at which an executable software system is developed. Okay, software design and implementation activities are invariably interrelated. Okay, software design is a creative activity in which you identify software components and their relationship based on the customer requirement. Okay, implementation is the process of realizing the design as a program. Okay, design and implementation are closely linked, and you should normally take implementation issue into account when developing a design. Means at the time of implementation there may be a issues you should take into account when developing a design. Okay, for example, using the UML to document a design may be the right thing to do if you are programming in object oriented language such as Java or C hash. Okay, means they are telling that, for example, using the UML means Unified Modeling Language to document a design may be the right thing to do if you are programming in a object oriented language, which are the object oriented language Java and C hash. Okay, it is less useful if you are developing in a dynamically typed language like Python. Means it not going to help when you are developing in a dynamically typed language like Python. Okay, one of the most important implementation decision that has to be made at an early stage of software project is whether or not you should buy or build the application software. Okay, in a wide range of domain, it is now possible to buy off the self system the that can be adopted on trial to user requirement. Means we can adopt it and we can trial to user requirement. For example, if you want to implement a medical record system, you can buy a package that is already used in the hospital. Okay, it can be cheaper and faster to use this approach rather than developing a system in a conventional programming language. Okay, means you have to, suppose you have to implement a medical record system, you can buy a package that is already used in hospital. Okay, it can be cheaper and faster to use this approach rather than developing a system in conventional program language. Means if you are implementing a medical record system, you can buy a package that is already used in the hospital. Means ಏನು ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲಲ್ಲಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀನೋ ಅದನ್ನು ಆ ಪ್ಯಾಕೇಜ್ನ ಅಡಾಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಅಡಾಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊತೀವಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಚೀಪರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫಾಸ್ಟರ್ ಟು ಯೂಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಅಪ್ರೋಚ್ rather than developing a system. Okay, in a conventional program language. Next is object oriented design using the UML, means object oriented design using the unified modeling language. An object oriented system is made up of integrating objects that maintain their own local state and provide operation on that state. Okay, the means they are telling object oriented system is made up of interacting objects that maintain their own local state and provide operation on that state. Okay, the representation of the state is private and cannot be accessed directly from outside the object, means the inside the activities is very easy when there is a interaction between the outside access is not so easy. That is the meaning of this statement. Object oriented design process involve designing object class and the relationship between these classes. These classes define object in the system and their interaction. Means the class define the object. We know that class is nothing but the collection of objects in the system and their interaction. Object oriented system are easier to change the system developed using functional approach. Object include both data and operation to manipulate the data. We know that object include both data and the operation to manipulate that data. Changing the implementation of an object or adding the service should not affect other system objects. Okay, because objects are associated with things. These are often a clear mapping between real world entities and their controlling objects in the system. This improves the understandability and hence the maintainability of the design. Okay, because objects are associated with the things, there is after a clear mapping between real world entities and their controlling objects in the system. This provides the understandability and hence maintainability of the design. To develop a system design from concept to detailed object oriented design, there are several things that you need to do. Means they are telling that to develop a system design from concept to detailed, means from scratch to in detail, means from start to in detailed system, the object oriented design, there are several things that you need to do. What are the things you have to do? Understand and define the context and the external interaction with the system. This is one point. Next is design the system architecture. Next one is identify the principal objects in the system, develop design model, specify interaction. These are the things you need to do when system design from concept to detailed. That is nothing but object oriented design. Means you have to follow the following several things. Okay, next, like all creative activity, design is not a clear cut. and they are telling that like all creative activity, design is not a clear cut and sequential process. Means sequential process means not one by one process. You develop a design by getting ideas, processing solution, and refining this solution as a information become available. You and have to inevitably have to backtrack and retry when problem arises. Means when there is a problem in the design process, you have to backtrack and have to retry to solve the problems. Okay, sometime you explore option in detail to see if they work at their time. You ignore detail until late in the process. Okay, next one is system context and interaction. We already discussed what is meant by context. Context is nothing but we are going to set the boundary for the system. Okay, we are going to set the boundary for the system, that is context. The first stage in any software design process is to develop an understanding of the relationship between the software that is being designed and its external environment. Means if any system you are going to develop, you have to first understand what is the relationship between the software that is being designed and its external environment. Okay, that is first things when you are, that is the first stage in the software design process. This is essential for deciding how to provide the required system functionality and how to structure the system to communicate with its environment. Okay, understanding of the context also let you establish the boundaries of the system. I told that context, system context is nothing but we are going to set the boundary for the system. Okay, which we are going to develop. Setting the system boundaries help you decide what features are implemented in the system begin design and what features are in the other associated system. This is the use of the system boundary. Okay, this sentence explains the what is the importance of setting the boundary of the system. Okay, system context model and interaction model present complementary view of the relationship between the system and its environment. Okay, what is the relation? A system context model is a structural model that demonstrates the other system in the environment of the system begin developed. Okay, an interaction model is a dynamic model that show how the system is interact with its environment as it is used. This is the two views of the relationship between the system and its environment. The context model of system may be represented using the association. They are telling context model of the system may be represented using the association. Okay, we know that what is meant by association. This diagram represents the association. Okay, association simply show the show that there are some relationship between the entities involved in the association. You may document the environment of the system using a simple black diagram showing the entities in the system and their association. Here, control system, weather station, satellite, weather information system are the entities, and between these entities there is a line. Okay, this is an association. Okay, here this is a one to one, here one to many, here also one to many, here one to one association, here also one to many association. Okay, means from weather information system to control system there is a one to one, control system to weather station that is one to many or many to one, and weather station to satellite there is a one to many or many to one. From weather information system to satellite there is a one to one association, and weather information system to weather station there is a one to many association. Okay, and when you model the interaction of a system with its environment, you should use a abstract approach that does not include too much detail. They are telling that when you use model the interaction of the system with its environment, you should not use abstract approach that does not include too much detail. Means abstract approach means there should not be a much detail. Okay, using use case you can represent the abstract. Okay, one of the way to do this use case model. Use case model na use ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು we can represent the abstract approach. Okay, each possible interaction is named in an eclipse. Okay, each possible interaction, this report weather, report status, restart, shutdown, reconfigure, power save, remote control, these are the possible interaction. The external entities involved in the interaction is represented by stick figure. Okay, external entities, these two are external entities, and this line represent the interaction between the external entities with possible interaction. Okay, this is representation of abstract approach using use case module. Next, each of these use case should be described in structural natural language. ನಾವು ಇದನ್ನ ಏನು ಯೂಸ್ ಕೇಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀವೋ ಇದನ್ನ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ helps the designers identify objects in the system and give them an understanding of what the system is intended to do. Okay, the standard format for this description that clearly identify what information is exchanged and how the interaction is installed and so on. This is the importance of representing the description in the natural language, structural natural language. How the structural natural language should be, this is structural natural language. Okay, system, which is the system, weather station, use cases, report, weather, actors, weather information system, weather station, these are the actors. Next, what is the data? the weather station sends a summary of the weather data that has been collected from the instruments in the collection period to weather information system. The data sent are the maximum and minimum and average ground and air temperatures. Okay, this is the information. The maximum, minimum and average air pressures, the maximum, minimum, average wind speed, the total rainfall, the wind direction as sampled at 5 minutes interval. This is the data to be transferred. Okay, simulation. The weather information system established a satellite communication link with the weather station and requirement transmission of the data. Okay, what is the response? The summarized data are sent to weather information system. This is the response. What is the comment for this? Weather station are usually asked to report once per hour, but this frequency may differ from one station to other and may be modified in the future. Okay, this is the structural natural language representation. Okay, next class I am going to explain architectural design. What is meant by architectural design we are going to discuss in tomorrow's class. Okay, here they explain context module of a system may be represented using the association we discussed, and interaction of a system with its environment. You should use a abstract approach by using use case module, and each of these use case should be described in structural module we discussed. Okay, in tomorrow's class we are going to discuss structural design. Okay, thank you.